welcome to Andover Planning and Zoning. Jay's here first. Excellent. All right. Calling to order, we're gonna start with the public hearings. 20. And I did this last time we had public hearings, so we're gonna have the applicants state what their intent is, and then it's the first applicant here.
No,
Okay, well, we should just go right.
we can skip and do these.
Yeah, we'll skip right to B, public hearing B, and since they're here first. And then after they have their presentation, then we'll have any questions from the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then there'll be discussion afterwards. Please keep it civil. If there's any questions about the special permit.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
it's, for the record, John Guskowski. I don't recall if I heard it, but you might just want to do a roll call just to make sure that you've established a quorum.
Okay, fair enough. Members present, Jed Larson, Scott Croissant, myself, Patrick Doherty. Alternates Leanne Hutchinson, remote. Jay Kamen's alternate, and Kevin Arneson alternate, present.
Just a touch for sweetness.
Okay.
Pat, I'm here as well. Anne Marie Daigle, alternate.
Great, all of our alternates are here. That's excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Naval Commission tonight, this after being hit by a car this afternoon. It happened in the area of LT Grafton Boulevard.
Okay, we're just to bring everybody else up to speed that just logged on. We're starting with public hearing B, application 26-4, special permit application to construct the market rate detached accessory apartment. And I'm gonna give it over to Ron and Suzanne, sorry, Langway. Go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Ron. Thank you for letting me do my presentation tonight on our ADU unit. I am trying to build an ADU unit separate from my house, 20 feet away in back of my 2-car garage that's attached to the house for my parents to be able to give them care. They're elderly and they need care, so that's my wife and I are taking care of them. So we're building this 795 square foot ADU unit. And so I have Wayne, do you have the floor plan up there?
Yep, hang on. For the record,
Actually, you know what, we can start with.
trying to call Mr. Kane.
Thanks.
Actually, do you want to do the plot plan first to show where it's gonna be?
Yep, however you wanna do it, probably that'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
Oops. Oh.
So there we have it. So if you see the existing garage that's there now, that's attached to the existing 2-story house. 20 foot back, there is a 28 by 28 space. And that's going to be where the AD unit is. It'll be 6 foot in. It's like a little driveway that runs on the side of my existing garage. It goes back to our barn. And it's gonna be 6 feet in from the driveway and 20 feet from the house. It's not near any other property lines at all. We're at least 500 to 1,000 feet away from property lines on each side of me and way over 1,000 feet from back property lines to front property lines. You can't even see this thing when you're driving up the driveway or from anybody's property. So with that, I was asking for an exemption for 23(2)D, 23(2)E, 23(2)F, 23(2)B, 23.5(B1), 23.5(C), 23.5(D), 44.21.3, 4.214, and 4.215. being that they don't pertain to my EDU unit, I was asking if the board would exempt those for me. If you can bring up the, house plans, floor plans, yes. It will be a 1 bedroom. It will be, a 1.5 bath. Set up for wheelchair access and for, easy accessibility for them because they are in their 90s. So I wanted to make everything that way. It has their own laundry. She still prefers to do her own laundry, but we can do it for them. And a wide open kitchen and living room with no jogs in the floor, everything one floor all the way around, including going into the shower. And it's self-contained. It has their own heating, their own air conditioning. Electricity I will provide from my house. The panel from my house is big enough to handle the power electricity for their house. And they'll have their own circuit breaker box in that facility. The water will be supplied from the well that feeds the house. Its capacity is fine. And the septic system is able to handle the extra bedroom, and it was signed off by the Eastern Highlands, people, and I do have approval of that. And it has access front, access back. I am putting a frost-free, foundation 4-foot crawl space under a house with a concrete floor. And an outside, doghouse door for accessibility if we have to ever access any of the, I'm putting in floor heating for them so that the floor is always warm. For them, and I gave them a fireplace. It's gonna be gas fireplace. So that if they're not warm enough, they can always hit the remote and get the fireplace to give them other heat. And the central air conditioning will be ductwork through the truss ceilings, all individual ductwork, so it's evenly cooled through the house for them too. And then it has its own kitchen, pretty much everything self-contained. There is parking. I did have pictures I sent Lynn of the property of where it's gonna be, and there's plenty of parking. Right now I have the horse trailer there, but we're gonna take the grass out, put stone in there. That's the road that'll be on the side that goes to the barn you see in front of the horse trailer. And where that stake is the far point of going to the front of the house is where that first stake is, right there.
So will they be parking the garage with?
They won't have a car.
Okay.
They don't drive anymore. We do it to pick them up now, but we need to provide parking for if they have company or if somebody down the road moves in there or whatever, has a car. So that whole thing will be plenty of parking. There'll be at least 3-4 cars of parking if they need it.
But there's not a driveway coming right up to the house. It's gonna
It's,
be.
right, it's gonna be, there's that road going to the barn,
Yeah.
right across, so it'll be right directly across from the house, the ADU unit. And did you want to bring up the approval from the Eastern Highlands?
Sure, should be in here.
In 2020, I did have a new septic tank put in and my fields were adequate at the time. However, we did have the septic people come out again and they checked everything over, put cameras down and said everything is still in great shape. My leach fields are still in great shape, and gave all the information to Glenn at Eastern Highlands, and he agrees, and he sent it to the state of Connecticut, and they signed off and said it's sufficient for what we want to do. The lighting now, there is existing lighting out there now, that stays on all night long on the driveway and at the barn for the horses. In case, somebody had access to a horse or something at night, and there's also gonna be, outdoor lighting on the house. On both front, back and sides, so there's plenty of lighting for everything.
That's just something I added.
Does anybody have any questions?
So do you have like a walkway between your house and?
There's gonna be a walkway, yeah, I just haven't decided, there's 2 entrances to my garage, 2 regular door entrances to the garage on the house, one on the back side and one on the front. After it's graded, I wanna see which one's the levelest. once they get the ADU unit in, it'll be the levelest area, and that's what I'll have, that'll be the walkway into that garage and then right into my house. So,
From where your proposed parking is to now, you can have.
right where that driveway is, it'll either be a walkway right on the side of that, against my house, against my garage going to the house, or between, the front porch, didn't show it there, but. So where that unit is, if you go to where, you see the silt fence going, right between my house and there. There's a door that goes to my back garage right there where that little outdoor jog out is. I can make a walkway from there to there. I just wanna see what's gonna be the easiest for them, once I get the structure, foundation in from there.
And what are the plot plan drawings? It looks almost like you have two different lots there. Look, it looks to me like the accessory unit would be a different lot than your house was.
No, it's all,
one big.
it's all one big lot, just 24 acres up there. And that's what, the house, and the house is pretty much in the center of the acreage.
Apologies if I missed this earlier, but did you say that the single septic system was gonna handle both residences?
Correct. Anybody else? Hey, anybody else have anything? I'm all set. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the public or neighbors? No neighbors present? Yeah.
Oh, really? That entry.
Just turn it off the range,
Yeah, I know.
Mr. King just called. He's coming.
Okay, thanks, Wayne. And the application, this special permit application, do you think that everything was complete here?
As far as I'm concerned, yeah,
That's fine.
everything is in order. The only thing, like, he asked for exemption from the A2. A2 plot plan. And this is actually taken from a pole barn plan that these guys must have done back in 2018, it looks like.
Correct.
Well, we have Eastern Highlands, we have the checklist, signage and all that, the notification of butters was done. He's showing some ENS around the lows of what. I left it up to him to show ENS around the low side of the structure, since he's gonna be doing some excavating. I think it's all in order.
Thank you.
You can go through the public.
I asked for, well, I'll ask again, is there any input from the public? Anybody online? Okay, none being heard. We have,
Can't close the, I guess you can close this public hearing, but hopefully Seth will be here.
any estimated time or?
Well, he thought he was supposed to be here at 7:30 for some reason.
Okay.
I don't know what to say, guys.
Any other members of the commission have any other questions? Before I close their public hearing,
None here, thank you.
thank you. Leanne?
Hi. Yeah, I'm trying to look on our website at the same time. Is there a list somewhere that I haven't come across yet of the sections that Ron asked for exemption from?
Well,
Because he said they didn't pertain to him.
yeah, it's part of the checklist. I believe.
Okay, I
Yes,
see
yeah,
that.
yes.
I've been going down the list. I didn't get that far. Okay, as long as it's there. Thank you.
There is. Right here, it's the last page of the checklist. You got that,
I
Leanne?
see it. I just didn't know if it had been posted separately, but I see it.
Yep. Seth? There's a, find your seat, we're still going. All right, if everybody's done,
Good.
we move on.
All right, thank you very much.
Is Leanne all set now?
Everybody's all set? No other last minute questions before I close the public hearing?
I don't.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you guys can hang around and see what happens during a regular meeting after Seth's presentation.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Okay, Seth Kane,
Welcome to Andover Planning and Zoning. I wanted to give you the quick spiel of your presentation, and then afterwards, the commission may have a couple questions for you. And then, any public comments, and then, I ask anybody to be respectful with their questions. And then after that, we'll close the public hearing, so.
Do you want me to stand up there?
You can stand up where you're on the camera.
I'll run the-
everybody. And then, state your name and, this is a special permit application to provide gunsmithing and firearms transfer service home occupation pursuant to section 4.12A of the Andover zoning regs. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, my name is Seth Kane. I just moved here about 8 months ago. I'm actually a Connecticut native, but I spent the last 5 years in Houston, Texas, where I met my fiance, and she dragged me back up here. So back in Connecticut, I'm happy to be here. I really appreciate this town, and I've really much enjoyed living here so far. I reside over on East Street with my fiance, 2 cats on a 9-acre property. The reason for my special permit application is that I have a degree in economics. I've worked in offices my entire life. It's been something I do for work, but my passion has always been restoration work. I've done work on furniture, cars. I used to do extensive work on machinery, like drill presses, lathes, things of that nature. And I very much believe in giving objects of history a second chance. I would consider myself a big time history buff in some aspects. But when I was 18 or 19, I was very mechanically minded. I started moving from drill presses and other things like that to I started working with firearms a little bit. I was just a target shooter at first, but I discovered that gunsmithing itself is a dying art. There's not many people around that do it, kind of in the same realm as blacksmithing. It is not so much these days about using technique or appreciation for, the way that wood is manipulated, or metal, or things like that. There's a historical aspect to it in terms of trying to preserve things that exist in these objects of history. My specialty has been always working on old Winchester, cowboy action lever guns, things like that. And me personally, I'm not a political person. I'm very private. But I've always been just fascinated by design and things like that, and actually using these old techniques to keep these objects alive. And in understanding that, I've really decided that since we purchased our home and that we are trying to become members of the community and offer something to the community, I would like to offer these services, not just in firearms, but also just in furniture and fabrication work as well. And on recommendation from my attorney, he suggested that I file for this permit and federal license just to make sure that I'm kosher with the state of Connecticut and federal government and acting and performing these services. So that's the purpose of my application. I in no way, shape, or form want to have any sort of a negative impact on my surrounding neighbors or the community or anything. I respect them extremely. I've had great interactions with a couple of them so far that I've encountered. And yeah, it's the nature of the business is predominantly just working in my garage, filing paperwork on behalf of people on by an appointment only basis, and having a UPS truck show up every now and then to deal with out of state work and actual parts and things that I can fabricate or repair for people. That's the entirety of the business as it sits right now. And in terms of live fire and things of that nature, I am a member over at the Andover Sportsman Club. So I have that as an option should that be necessitated, but I do live on a 9-acre property. There's a very extensive downhill slope that goes through the entire property. It bottoms out at an area that's about 500 yards, I believe, from the road, I would estimate. And there's sufficient safety options for a berm or things of that nature to make sure that if there is a live fire required for any of the restoration works, I would have a safe option to do that and to construct it and do things in a safe manner. Yeah, and that's my presentation. I did bring down my map in case anyone needs to.
Yeah, you should probably give them your map.
Right, yeah, this is just the copy I drew up. Much appreciated to Wayne for helping me get a copy of this. Just to point out, our home is actually here and the entire property spans all the way to East Street on this side. We do have a pond that covers about 1 acre, and that's located down at the bottom here. There's also a clearing that's predominantly forest, and that's sloping down the property. So if anyone wants to take a look at this, I can pass this around into review. And yeah, I'll take any questions.
You're doing all the work inside existing structures, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. All the machinery would be low noise, typical garage work stuff. Anybody that's ever worked in a garage on those things or anything like that, it's very small time. And I don't anticipate actually having any sort of hazardous chemicals or anything like that. No explosives, nothing of that nature.
So is this your full-time job or is this,
It's a hobby. It's a hobby I've been doing for a number of years just to supplement my income, and it's mostly been a hobby. I work in aerospace right now for a circuit board manufacturer. But besides that, I've worked in manufacturing fields and logistics as well when I was in Texas. So I have a very solid understanding of machining and repair work and things like that from doing so.
Any questions from the commission?
and the only question I have is, did we make the application broad enough to cover all the things he said he wants to do? It's focused on firearms. Now we're adding furniture restoration, that sort of thing. Should we put that on the application just so that it's complete with everything that you want to do?
I'll add,
The furniture part of it is something that I figured I would offer to the community just to assist and help, but I don't really expect it to be a major part of the business.
if it's something you're gonna do, I think it's easy enough to get that on the record and make it part of the application, right? Yeah.
It's more so just to, people around here,
I mean, technically, you're gonna be working with, you are refinishing stocks and forearms and stuff like that, so it seems to me furniture goes right along with that in a way, kind of.
Yeah, and it's just a service to offer to the community. So if somebody needs a piece of metal fabricated or something welded, anything like that, I'd like to offer it just to give people an option, because when I was growing up, I didn't know how to use any of these tools. I didn't have access. Trying to find somebody that could weld or machine something for my barbecue that I made, or my bike or something like that. It was never really available. I grew up in Fairfield County, and Fairfield exactly, and everybody there pretty much white collar, goes to the city every day and doesn't really do a whole lot on the weekends in terms of intricate work like that. So
How do you advertise?
I predominantly operate just on the internet. I am part of a couple of collecting forums, and through those I just maintain relationships with people and yeah.
So, I know I'd asked you this and you addressed it, in your presentation. But, would you consider, purchasing a bullet trap rather than outdoor live fire?
Potentially, sure, yeah, if it's something that a commission would require, I would certainly.
I mean,
look into it.
The commission could possibly make that a condition of approval or something like that. I mean, it'd be up to them, but,
I mean, for what it's worth, I know that a couple of my neighbors, discharge firearms regularly on their property, so I'm not sure it would be a concern for them. But obviously that option is presented.
well, obviously, from my perspective, it's sort of like depends upon the volume. You know, if you're successful and you get a lot of work, you could potentially, you know,
You have to do, right.
the potential is there.
All the time, then Wayne might have to face a complaint calls, yeah, right. So we would need to know the frequency slash, you know, is that gonna be a planned thing all the time, or just? If you
Well, it
are
could
a
be-
member of the Andover
Well,
Sportsman's
like you
Club,
said, you got I mean, the sportsman club is obviously the idea.
that would be the ideal, yeah.
Right, and it's not a frequent occurrence, but the majority of work that I end up doing is just restoring things that actually still function. And a live fire is not always necessary in doing that. So if I'm restoring a piece of wood for somebody, or if I'm just making sure something's safe to operate, a live fire is not always required. And with the amount of work I do now, I don't even directly work on firearms for, like, because of licensing and things like that. The work I do is actually building parts and making sure that components are available for people to repair their own firearms on their own with. So the structure of my business right now is even revolving around live fire.
Okay. Anybody online? Any questions? Open it up to public questions. Wayne, do you have everything you need for the
I
application?
have everything I need for the application.
I was like,
It does not need Eastern Highlands,
right,
using the existing structures, not adding anything.
okay,
There's some exhibits, made him aware of the signage, limitations, restrictions, and, the sign on the garage itself. Or you can put a sign on the building, you can put a small sign on the road, if so chooses.
very good. All right, since we have no other questions, you're welcome to stay until we make a decision later, or you can leave. We're gonna close the public hearing now.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
The public hearing's closed. Now these guys go into their regular meeting. And they got some steps to go through, and they may or may not deliberate on your application tonight. But you're welcome to stick around.
Welcome to have a seat.
Welcome to have a seat.
Yeah.
Understanding that during the regular session, the only people asking questions and conversations back and forth are commission members amongst themselves and professional staff. There's not supposed to be any outside conversation. Those are the rules.
Thanks, Will.
Sorry about that.
Right. Time is now 7:30. And we're calling to order the regular planning and zoning meeting. First, we're gonna see, the president is Jed Larson, Scott Brisson, myself, Patrick Doherty, Leanne Hutchison, and we now need to seat an alternate. Last time it was you, right, Jen? Anne Marie or Kevin's still there? Kevin Arneson? Would you like to be seated?
Are you asking me? I'm sorry, you're cutting out.
All right, Anne Marie. Would you like to be seated?
Sure.
Okay, and seated is Anne Marie Davis.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So next is additions and changes to the agenda. We would like to add a 6B for Jessica Chapman, owner of Whispering Hills, for discussion about
Concepts of development.
concepts of development. Thanks, Scott.
That's not until 6 feet though.
Yeah, we're gonna get there in a little while.
I want for anyone that's not been to the apartments, is that okay?
First, they have to do a motion to add it to the agenda, approve the motion,
Thank you, Wayne.
and then when we get to 6B.
Excellent. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, thank you, Andrew.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. All right, item 4, public speak. Is there anything,
Patrick?
Yes, Leanne, go ahead.
Patrick, this is Leanne. Are we ready to add an item to fill our full member vacancy to name someone tonight?
No, not just yet. The submission of letters of interest are open until Monday, May 18th.
Okay, that satisfies the timeline for notifying the town clerk, et cetera, and that's the date that it ends?
Yes, that's the date me and town clerk came up with.
Okay, very good.
Any other public speak, about topics, concerns not on the agenda? Okay, moving along. Old business. We're now going to consider special permit application. Should we do those in the order that we receive them? Doesn't, right? Let's start with A then, special permit application 26-3. The gunsmithing special permit.
I think the only thing that we, what Wayne brought up about, if you start getting complaints, you're gonna have to. There's some kind, what did you call it, a bullet trap?
I just thought that was maybe one alternative. Obviously, using the Andover Sportsman's Club would, as Mr. King indicated, would be the best solution. I suppose the commission could put a condition that the Sportsman's Club be used exclusively for any live fire related to the gunsmithing operation. Or that if there are complaints, then he has to purchase a bullet trap or something like that. I think I leave that up to you guys.
Whichever way you think.
Well, I don't think we should require it to go to
No.
enforcement code, but you're free to shoot at your property, you're free to shoot at the property. If it gets to be excessive, then, see what we can do about that.
Right, yeah, that's how I do.
Okay. I'm okay with that, that's fine.
Leanne, Anne Marie, any thoughts?
I apologize. I didn't look at the map, but is that a more populated area of East Street, or whereabouts is that?
Oh, how far are you from First? A couple lots down from First. Two lots down, yeah.
Okay,
It's-
so it's that side.
Yeah, there are residences on either side. He has 9 acres, I believe, in between.
Okay. I have no question. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the application.
I'll second that.
All right. And, let's take a vote.
Need discussion on the motion?
We need discussion on the motion, if you're correcting.
Should we modify the application to put furniture restoration in there?
I think you should, if Mr. Kane indicated that that's something he intended on pursuing.
I understand that's not as politically sensitive as, firearm restoration, but if that's what your business is gonna include, we ought to have we ought to grant you that authority to go out and do your business.
Makes sense to add it now rather than later.
Can we amend that now?
We can,
Okay, just do it in motion, and
so
Okay.
I amend my motion to add the word furniture restoration, so it would be application 26-3 SP to provide furniture restoration and gunsmithing and firearms transfer service home occupation pursuant to section 4.12A2 to the Andover zoning regulations.
Any new discussion or? We're ready to take a vote. Hearing no discussion? Jed?
Aye.
Scott? Leanne?
Aye.
Anne Marie?
Aye.
And I for myself, motion passes 5-0.
Dan,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Special permit been granted.
congratulations, you're done for now.
Yeah, check with Wayne there.
Yeah, you'll be getting some correspondence from the office, you have to do a filing and stuff like that. We'll be in contact tomorrow.
Yep.
Okay?
Thank you, everyone.
You. All right, moving on to special permit application 26-4 SP. Mission discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve application 26-4 SP.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? My only question was those items that they're asking for exemption, none of those apply, correct, Wayne? Or is that, were those requirements?
He's asking for exemption from, he asked for exemptions from, the A2 survey requirement, or the A2 site plan requirements.
Okay,
He presented information that I think the commission, can rely upon to make a reasoned decision. So, I don't see any issue with it. The commission has seen worse, let's put it that way.
Much.
fair enough. Any other discussion? Or? Can I get a motion?
He did a motion.
Yeah.
Thank you, sorry. All right. Any other discussion? Last chance. All right, let's take a vote. Chad,
Aye.
Scott, Leanne,
Aye.
Anne Marie,
Aye.
and I for myself, motion passes 5-0.
Congratulations,
Thank
you'll be hearing from me tomorrow about the next steps.
Looks like it could be a beautiful house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could patent that and make the senior housing for.
Maybe we can move into it when we get older, our kids can take over the house.
You're gonna be the engineer for the next ADU unit at Andover, because it was very complete and good.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Nice
Thank
job.
you,
Yeah.
thank
We
you.
don't get them like that.
Well, I think you should express everything you want to do with the town so you guys
Yeah.
know exactly what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Need it easy to approve.
All right, new business. We'll start with the informal discussion of concepts for the development of Lindholm Corners property. Welcome again.
Thank you.
And same as the other, like the public hearing with your presentation, and we'll have questions and then
Yeah,
Go from there. Absolutely. Thank you.
and before I get started, how much time do we have?
There's no set limit,
There's
as
no-
long as you don't go to
I'll
midnight.
practice brevity.
Shelley, do you have you wanna put the letter that these guys sent us?
Yeah, sure.
That'd be
I can
nice.
do that. Give me a second.
While he's doing that, I just want to express that I'm also, I'm a member of the Economic Development Commission.
Okay.
And this is in line with our newest plan of conservation and development, and John Guskowski, our town planner, can also attest to that. You know, we're looking for reasonable development in our town that fits our rural character, so. Awesome.
Well, thank you for that. Good evening, everyone. My name is Leslie Kafour. I'm 1/3 of the group that wants to propose and discuss this informal concept here for a mixed-use development in what used to be the Rosewood Acres, not too far from here. So I have Sean Callahan here and Gavin on the Zoom line. Gavin Duffy and Sean are the other partners on the entity. And so we just actually executed a purchase and sale agreement with the current owner, Keith Grimaldi, and subject to closing on acquiring that land. We just want to have a discussion with the commission, and we want to see if the ideas that we have can be supported by the commission and the town, and see if there is any opportunity to iterate around any of the plan if there's feedback to do so, and just really get a feel for what the town is looking for. Does this make sense? And can we go ahead and make the sort of heavy capital investment required to be able to go through this? And so with that said, I'll just get right into it. So the land size is approximately 56.47 acres. And it's located along the Route 6 in Andover. And I believe it's commonly known as the Rosewood Acres, as I mentioned earlier. So this proposal here outlines a mixed-use development concept, call it from a 10,000-foot view, that would essentially transform this vacant lot into, and also was previously approved for subdivision into what we consider as a vibrant tax contributed community of residential townhome apartments and a neighborhood scale retail along that corridor, serving both local housing demand and the commercial corridor as well. So what we're looking to do, just minimize the amount of reinvention of the wheel that we need to do, and also have a clear path to green here, because we understand the size of the land and we can get very ambitious. But we want to be very mindful about just obviously the rural district design and what makes sense. And so rather than do, high-rise apartment complexes with a lot of shared common space, we just feel like it just wouldn't really fit well in the community. And so we were thinking something more along the lines of various townhome communities that are situated on a 56-acre parcel with, a modern farmhouse facade and exterior look, which we have some renderings of in there. And so currently, there are existing lot lines that are indicating the 10 lot subdivision that was previously approved. Now, obviously, if we were to gain the commission's approval and work and propose and proceed with this, we would reinvent the wheel on getting the surveys done and not assume that everything is still good to go. And so essentially, we're looking at lots 1 through 10. Again, the same lots that were previously approved for the subdivision. Lot 1, which is right on the Route 6 frontage there, we are proposing a 15,000 square foot neighborhood grade commercial building. And we can discuss some ideas that we have for that in terms of ideal tenants that we do envision for that place that would also serve the community quite well. And lots 2 and 3, we're proposing 6 and 8 townhomes respectively. And then as we go through lots 4 and 6, 12 townhome units, and then lots 8 and 10, 12 townhome units as well. As you can see, we have indicated lot 7 to be held for phase 2 or future development. But we actually, have a little bit more color that we would like to add to that. We would want to consider possibly a storage unit facility back there. We think you know, in our line of work, we just completed a new construction development in Manchester. And we own several units in the central Connecticut area. With these types of housing, you know, storage facilities does tend to be a very important sort of additional option for most folks that are living in the community to have. And we thought that would be a good add to have there. So that's what we have in mind from a future development perspective. So moving on, what we did is we put together, again, this is an informal concept, and so it's not a general development plan that a site engineer per se has put together. But Gavin Duffy, one of our partners that's on the phone, he's a civil engineer by trade, and so he was able to kind of really help us put together, you know, how we envision the lots to be split apart, and then obviously the buildings that are situated on it. So John, I don't know if you want to scroll up a little bit. I think we're a bit, where we
no, tell me where you want to go.
So a little bit up. We're looking for the lot. Yes, right there, a little bit up, right there.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, layout. So as you can see right there on lot 1, which is on your upper right corner, which is right there on Route 6. I believe the existing zoning for that is in a business district as well. And there's already an approval with the DOT for a curb cut directly into Route 6 as well. And the lot, you know, we also looked into from a zoning requirement perspective, you know, what do we need to have in there from a parking requirements, and we were able to lay over that, and we were able to meet sort of, you know, what the requirement is. And so lots, lots 2 and 3, lot 2 right above lot 1, and then 3 a little bit to the right over there. The reason why we're proposing 6 and 8 units on that as opposed to the 12 units for the remaining lots is because in reviewing so a couple things, with the subdivision, these were rezoned to residential lots. However, if you look at the property cards right now, they do indicate it's ARD, which is the Andover Rural District Design. And we do believe there's a requirement for there to be for the entire impervious use, including the building structure itself, driveways, parking, decks, things of that sort, to not exceed 15%. And so for those 2 lots, if we matched sort of the 12 units for the remaining lots, we would be reaching that by a couple percentages. So we scaled it down to be conforming with the existing zoning for those lots. And then as you move through from lots 4 through 10, with the exception of lot 7, which is all the way further up there, there is enough square footage to meet the zoning requirement for the impervious use, as well as parking as well. And so this is just a general layout. Obviously, you know, we do have an engineer engaged that we would be working with to actually go ahead and make sure that we're looking at it from a topography perspective. You know, where the placements do make sense. Again, you know, Gavin is a civil engineer by trade, and so we did look at that and consider that very greatly to make sure that the informal concept at least is close to where the real placements are actually going to end up being. And so, yeah, you know, obviously this is a huge piece of land, but and we could fit twice as many in there, but for a lot of different reasons, and the most important one being, you know, this being a rural district, we just felt this approach is a lot better and not sort of overly creating an overly dense community there. So I'll move ahead unless there's any questions in the meantime. Awesome. So we did discuss a little bit about the lot assignment, and so I'm gonna move a little bit. I'm gonna move on from that. One of the things that we would be looking to sort of get a good understanding from the commission, and as well as Wayne as well from a zoning perspective, is so as we look to you know, proceed with the proper path to this development, It would be great to kind of have an understanding around, you know, does the existing zoning, either from the subdivision or the ARD, allow us to do some sort of a text amendment to proceed, or we would have to go through a formal zoning change. We're more than willing to go down either path that the commission does require. Obviously, we want to balance this with, you know, what the least path of resistance is without any trade, you know, without trading for quality per se. And we would be looking to, you know, if all things considered look good, probably and gain all the approvals that we needed, we would probably be ready to break ground at some point later this year. And so we're more than happy to follow the direction and directive of the commission and zone it as well. But it would be good to sort of understand between the existing ARD zoning and the previously approved residential zoning, what would be sort of the proper path, a text amendment or some sort of a new zone change. So I'm going to touch a little bit on the retail component. So lot one is currently is 1.58 acres, which is about 68,000 square foot. And it's the only lot with direct Route 6 frontage, and it's located immediately adjacent to what seems to be the business district zone. So what we're thinking is a single-story commercial building shell up to 15,000 square foot. And I believe the statutory maximum under section 8.2 of the Andover zoning regulations is this conforms with it pretty well. And we're thinking about dividing into 3 equal units, about 5,000 square foot each, and hopefully can bring in some businesses like the Starbucks. And one of the ideas that we were also thinking about too, which we think would be a great add to the community, is seeing if we could partner with a grocery store chain like a Big Y to do a build to suite that obviously would make sense for that. You know, we want to also know what ideas the town may have in mind for that as well. And the development of the retail store would probably be pushed to the tail end of this project, so that we can also have the option to market and build a suit facility for prospect tenants as well. And so that's the retail component of it. And you know, obviously, in the interest of time, I'm not going to go through every single wording verbatim here, but from 10,000 foot view, that's what we're looking at. John, if you don't mind scrolling down a little bit so we can all have a look at the conceptual. So this is the conceptual rendering for the townhome units that we're looking at. They would all be in a row. And so for the 12 units, we would either have 6 and 6 in two buildings, or just 12 in one full row. And with the 6 and 8, they're more than likely going to be just one row. We plan to put a garage in each one of them with a driveway leading up to it, just so it feels, it has that single family feel to it a little bit more than just, you know, a high-rise apartment living style feel. And with this being, you know, a rural district, that more modern farmhouse facade, you know, we think it would certainly sort of reintroduce a more modern style living and modern style living that still feels very much like Andover in my perspective. Yeah.
So is it anticipated that these would be sold or rented?
No, so these would be rented. So these would be rental communities, and we plan to own them ourselves, manage them ourselves, similar to our other properties. Yeah. So we did sort of do a snapshot of the land use and zoning considerations. I think for the most part, I did sort of touch on this, and we have some questions that we can dive into here in a little bit, but essentially, you know, the zone analysis by each lot, looking at either existing sort of, again, there's a bit of an ambiguity between those two zonings, with the ARD and the residential zoning. And so with either one, the considerations that went into this allows for conformity and being compliant to that. And I think, you know, what we would want to get a good sense of is, you know, what is the actual current state from a zoning perspective? From the commission's perspective and Wayne's perspective, where do we need to be so that we can come up with a path to green and get to that point?
So, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
if I might, I'm going to stop share just for a second. So for the record, John Guskowski, planner. And I thought I'm sorry, Leslie, I thought we had talked about this. The town does have in their zoning regulations, and I think that if not the only way forward, certainly the easiest way forward would be to propose a rezoning of this property to the Andover mixed use floating zone, which is section 26 of the zoning regulations, which basically allows property with frontage on Route 6 is eligible, and obviously this property does have frontage on Route 6, to develop via master plan, which is sort of the start of what you've got going there, a mixed use development that includes elements of commercial and residential, including multifamily. And in fact, I think it is the only path forward for a multifamily development currently in our zoning regulations. And it would allow this sort of density. It would allow this sort of development, and particularly, focused as you have with the retail component, the commercial component fronting Route 6 with the residential essentially behind. That all of these properties would be considered essentially part of the same master plan concept, that the commission would need to essentially adopt the master plan and therefore use that master plan as a cause to change the zoning district from its ARD, which is basically the residential design district in Andover, to this mixed use concept. And then following that rezoning conversion of zone designation, to adopt the ultimate proposal as a special permit or special exception. And I'm looking to Jed to sort of confirm my analysis of that.
I think you're correct. I looked at the planned residential development section and the mixed use, and I think my initial previous understanding of the mixed use was kind of a residential building with apartments on top of it. So when I first saw the plan with 80 some apartments, I said, wow, that's kind of big, and I didn't know if that was in the intent of the mixed use or not. But I did see the words in there that the commission had lots of leeway. Lots of leeway. So I think, that the mixed use is probably the right way to go. The question that I had, that I can ask now is, we're bringing in 80 some units. I know you mentioned the word affordable housing in your discussion there somewhere. I think it would be a shame to have 80 some units come into Andover and not have the affordable component when we're struggling so vitally to get any affordable housing here. And but again, what your thoughts are on that, maybe?
Yeah, so great point. So these are intended to be affordable housing, but I will be frank. So when we say affordable housing, we're not saying, it's relative, affordable to Andover, right? What's the median income for Andover, and can folks in the median income bracket be able to afford these housing units? And that's what we mean by affordable housing. And so these are not by any means luxury housing priced at a price point that would be above, the median income, what the median income folks can afford in Andover. And so in that sense, it will be affordable, but it's not, we're not using the government subsidy loan, like a HUD 22F loan to build it, and we have to do some kind of like a project-based housing, subsidized housing, right?
So John, could you take a minute and go over that, please?
Sure. So, okay. So what it seems like Leslie is proposing is basically a different market niche in Andover, which is, you know, probably below the median sales or rental price currently. It doesn't sound like he's necessarily proposing any deed restriction or income limits. So, you know, if Elon Musk decided he wanted to live in one of those townhouses, he could. He didn't need to be below the area median. What we would call affordable, it would be some sort of deed restriction to limit the income of the residents to, you know, 80% or less of the area median income, which is, you know, a target for the town. It's something that, you know, if we were to get further into this, Leslie and Gavin and others, if it's something you guys were willing to consider, we could look at things like density bonuses or, you know, additional units should some of the units be restricted and available to, you know, folks at lower at 60 or 80% of the area median. But yeah, that's, you know, it would be our preference to expand the range of housing options, including those who make less than the area median. But, you know, we understand market realities as well. And so if there's an opportunity to kind of work together, I think there's some, you know, some good discussions to be had.
Is there a percentage of the units that you would want to be affordable income and be deed restricted?
I'll throw, and this is, you know, ultimately the commission's decision. I would throw out an initial benchmark of 20%, but I think, you know, we understand development and you know, you have to make your numbers work. You know, there are some state and federal, you know, tax credit programs, you know, and that sort of thing to help, you know, your capital stack. But you know, a traditional, what we would call incentive housing would be 20% of the units restricted at 80% of area median income. That would be sort of the baseline. But, you know, that's obviously subject to negotiation, and we'd have to crunch the numbers.
Yeah, we can, John, as you said, we have to crunch the numbers. So we can certainly consider that, especially if it's economically viable. But yes, yeah, we could certainly consider
that. Yeah, because you know, in a relatively what I've seen in the past, so, you know, a relatively well-to-do town, you know, your delta between your 80% AMI for renters and your market rate, what you would charge for those townhouse units, could be pretty close. You know, it may not be that much of a delta at all, but yeah, we'd have to crunch through those numbers.
But it would certainly be helpful to the town.
Yeah.
To have some of those deed restricted so that we can start building our, you know, each town's goal is supposed to be 10%. We're sitting at about 5% now, so, you know, we need another 50 some units to get out of that 10%.
Yeah. Now let me ask this: do the units need to be deeded to fit that requirement, or it's the price point they end up being leased at?
Again, so there's going to be some devil in the details, but it needs to be essentially an all-in cost. So, you know, your total cost of rent, which would include, you know, base rent, whatever utilities included, would need to total up to less than 30% of the income of somebody making, you know, the 80% of the area median. So a lot of percentages, but basically 30% of the 80%. And if you want to do just rough, you know, back of the envelope numbers, you'd be talking, let's say the median household is $100,000 in Andover. 80% of that is $80,000 income. 30% of that, of 30% of 80,000, which would be the housing budget of that moderate income person, is what, 24,000? And then you divide that by 12. You're basically looking at an all-in rent of 2,000 or less.
So I'll tell you this, where we probably need to gain better alignment is sort of deeding the units for that or not, because that rent amount is right in line with what we're projecting from the entire complex for, right? And so we're more than happy to work with the commission to figure out how it needs to be appropriately done so the town can claim that win too, right? And so if it's something that has to do with just, you know, what's the dollar amount families and folks end up paying to be able to live there on a monthly basis, and it ends up all of them fits that sort of math. You could say all those units are in that bracket, right? But again, it goes back to what qualifies it to fit that requirement? Does it need to be deeded or not, right?
Right, there would need to be some, I mean, again, in order for the town or to get sort of formal credit for it, there would need to be something it would need to be an affordability plan. We would need to get basically annual reports that indicate that, 20% of your occupants qualify.
Absolutely. So we're more than happy to consider that. Yeah. Obviously, not be pretty too general before we discuss this, but feel free to chime in, Gavin, Sean, if you feel otherwise. But yes, that's something that we would consider. Yeah, I mean, I'm local to this area. I don't live in Andover. My office is in Mansfield, and it's right behind the mall. And so I take the Route 6 route every day for years now. So I know that housing supply would be a good add. I have folks that work with us and work for me that live in this community. So we know that the housing supply is a bit restricted, and we think that we could definitely add a ton of value with this mixed use opportunity. Before I go ahead, do you have any questions you want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
So one thing we would be looking to possibly do is separate each lot into its own deed. Is that gonna be an issue with the whole rezoning when we go, if you wanna do that whole mixed use? What you call it, a mixed use floating zone?
Yeah, I would not think so. I guess it depends on what you're proposing to do. If you're proposing to essentially condoize them, or like basically, because I think this was a subdivision and then it was merged back, so it's currently a single lot again, right?
Yeah. So
Okay,
John, what we want to do is we want to retain. So we would apply for the same subdivision that was dissolved for the 10 lots and keep the sort of previously approved lot lines. And we want each one of those 10 lots to be separately deeded.
Oh, for septic purposes.
Yes, but it's for permit purposes.
Sure.
But for a couple of reasons that we think are critical. So the first one is that we want to be able to supply units for people to move in before we're done with the whole thing. But it's also critical to how we're staggering our finance and be able to get through. And so, what we're looking to do is we're looking to develop a couple at a time. And essentially liquidate the equity that we've built from that and roll it on into the next and kind of go into a rolling phase, which is kind of pretty similar to how we do our current projects. But it is also the path that we can confidently speak to being able to really execute this whole thing within 36 months.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a couple of things there. We haven't done. And again, I'll look to Jed as the recent wisdom of the commission here. We haven't done much of this kind of mixed use floating zone, and I'm pretty positive that we haven't dealt with kind of a combined overlay and subdivision. But I think the whole thing would have to be presented as a master plan concept in order to land the zone at that point. And then we would just have to work through, and I don't think it's that big a deal. It's really kind of a spirit of the law versus the language, or versus the black and white of the law of, could we land the floating zone and then create some lots that are applicable to the mixed use floating zone that do not have direct frontage on 6. There's a little just sort of a procedural thing that I would want to work out with maybe our town attorney and your team. But I think the commission is certainly within their power to look at the entire project as the master plan and land the floating zone on that whole property to enable what you're doing. And then what you're talking about beyond that is really just a question of phasing for financing and septic development purposes. As long as you are proceeding down the track of the master plan of the whole thing as a mixed use concept, I think that's something that's pretty much why that regulation was developed in the first place.
So again, never having done one of these, I had a preconceived notion of what it might look like in my head from reading the words. I don't know that the words are exactly right, but where I got hung up is under the applicability. The floating zone may be applied to any lot or assemblage of lots located in an area designated business or industrial. And so.
Or with frontage on Route 6, Jed.
Where we have simple. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what fee simple frontage means, but.
Well, it's not accessed by an easement that they own the frontage on Route 6.
Okay, so it was different than I was thinking, and over need for housing and,
some of these lots have are rear lots that exit onto, looks like the cul-de-sac on Lindholm's corner.
Yeah.
And some onto 87.
Yeah, and there's also a DOT approval for the Route 87.
Right, only for a single family.
Yes, yeah, we would have to reinvent the wheel of all those applications with the DOT, yes.
Man, I'm not opposed to what you're proposing, it's a good thing, you just. But yeah, we gotta figure out how to make the words go there.
Yeah.
And the density that you're proposing is probably something more significant, I looked through the action items that we wrote down to expand the ability to put housing in, with our plan of conservation and development update. And I didn't see anything that came close to, the number of units you guys were putting in. That doesn't mean that it can't be that way, it's just, you're coming in with a plan that's a little bit bigger than what we were.
Yeah.
Anticipating might come Andover's way.
And we
That
kept
might be a
it
good
small.
thing.
Yeah, and we kept it small, we kept it,
For some places, it's a big brand.
Yeah, because we could have, we could have proposed, we could have looked at potentially close to 200 units, but. Again, in this layout, there's a lot of greenery, and then obviously a lot of, separation with greenery between, the townhomes as well. Yeah, and then also, I think you made a very good point, which is the size of it, but I think being able to kind of look at it from, the 10 individual lots, it kind of scales it down into a bite-sized approach. And we can work with the town in a manner with which, there are no bottlenecks, from trying to squeeze all 86 units done at once, right? But that said, to John's point, I think it's actually critical. We look at it from the big overarching master plan and we scale it down and then we just take it a bite-sized approach until we get to that point. And I think it'd be probably easier at both ends in working through it.
So you guys have done this a few times before, you have the Manchester one.
Yeah.
What do you expect the turnover to be? Is there like an annual renters agreement?
Yeah, so we do what we call long-term leases. The long-term leases are 12 months and up. We try to incentivize folks to sign a lease for multiple years at a time. Some of the things that we do is that if you agree to stay here for 3 years at a time, you don't ever have to worry about rent increases. Depending on where inflation might be, there might be standard 2 to 3% rent increases, and tenants could avoid that if they lock in multiple years. But we rarely do anything under 12 months. There are cases where we would do it, but they're one-off cases, and there has to be like a really good reason for it.
What's your projection on going from 0 to fully
leased? So I'll give you an example. We just finished 12 units. Now it was It's a new construction, but it was a conversion of an existing building. We basically, demoed it out to the shell and rebuilt it with a whole new different purpose. It was 12 units. I would say that we were fully done by the end of February, and that's when we finalized all permits, closed everything out with the town. The entire apartment, we had leases in hand by the second week of March. Folks were moving in, obviously, May, April, some June. But because the demand, so strong, everything that we put out there, we had leases in hand within a few weeks. Yeah.
I think what I was thinking about is, this is new to Andover, right? We have a small school, and it seems like it's likely that families will be moving in.
Sure.
So we have to also just consider what that load is gonna be on, Andover Elementary, making sure that it's properly staffed, so there might be a transitional period there where we're trying to keep up with who's there.
Yeah.
And, if people are signing long-term leases, then they can project how many teachers are gonna need, how many.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think, certainly we can sit down and get a little bit more granular and figure out, what a launch strategy looks like. What would be conducive to just the existing resources and the infrastructure that the town has that we may not necessarily have a direct burden to provide. And what the town can accommodate, and we're more than happy to kind of sit down and figure that out. Obviously, it's the other side of it, which, probably gonna need a little bit more time to be able to sort of have any tax related revenue accumulate to be able to sort of start deploying it in various other areas to start expanding capacity for saving the schools still to assist. But we did do some estimates, of what that would look like in terms of the potential additional tax revenue that the town may be able to generate to help support with all of that expansion as well.
Yeah, we just never done any scale.
Yeah.
But we're not looking at 4 or 5 bedroom units, these are all 2-bedroom.
Right.
Houses.
Yeah, one back.
Yeah,
1.5.
1.5.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Just, yeah. But yes, to your point, those apartments, yes, and a lot of the units that we have that are like that, there are families with, it's either a couple, or an elderly couple that may not have, kids at home anymore, or there's a lot of the in between, mostly toddlers, yes, so.
It's not a bad problem to have.
Yes.
They would need a heads up.
Absolutely.
Potential for
Yeah.
60 to 80 kids coming in.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, no, so and again, this is getting what, cart before the horse, and not get out over our skis to mix metaphors there. But yeah, I was gonna confirm these are all proposed at 2-bedroom. And broadly speaking, 2-bedroom units tend to generate children for the school districts at a rate of about 1 kid per 4 or per 5 units or so. So 80 new units would tend to average 15 to 20 kids. It's not 2 kids per unit, and you're not looking at hundreds. It really is 3+ bedrooms where you start to generate a lot of kids on balance. And again, broadly speaking, Andover could use some more kids.
So, probably need to move this along. This is just a concept discussion, and I appreciate it, and you guys did a great job. I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer. Some things you're gonna have to consider in the master plan for all this is, you passed our fire.
Yes.
Right there.
Thank you, Alex.
And, we have no municipal water and no sewer.
Yeah.
I suspect your plan is gonna change, maybe rather dramatically based upon the engineering and the soil.
Yeah.
And, the approvals that you'll need to get for septic disposal. Water, you're probably gonna do shared wells for the buildings and stuff, that's probably not gonna be a huge issue. But that's something you're gonna need to consider. One question I had.
Worst case of that.
Yeah, one question I had, have you done a project of this scale before?
Not the specific scale, no, but at the deduced level and the bite-sized approach, yes.
Okay, all right, just curious.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my big thing. And if you look back on the original Rosewood Acres subdivision, there was, they had to do a cistern for
Yeah.
it. But this is gonna take considerably more than that.
Right.
And they're gonna have to work with the fire marshal and those guys on with stuff.
It's either a cistern or fire suppression for
Yeah.
each unit.
And
So,
I mean,
yeah.
we don't know what the rules are, we just say talk to the
Yeah,
fire
there we
marshal.
go.
Yeah, and Wayne, if you don't mind, I'll reach out for a contact with the fire marshal, because we had some questions around, is a sprinkler gonna be required, or,
Right.
and just all of
That's
those
question-
questions. We'll reach out to them. I think, for us, the most important thing is, we're talking, very large substantial capital to just even do like perk tests, and it's.
And the other thing is, in our regulations, and I don't know how that applies to a mixed use floating zone. We have requirements for open space. In subdivisions and. The previous subdivision used a provision, for, I guess, buying their way out of it is the way.
Yeah, be in lieu of open space.
Yeah, a fee in lieu of open space. So that's just something else.
Yeah, so we're looking, so there's gonna be preservation of natural woodland, edges. A lot of them are already done by the data engineering folks, and we would be looking to build.
Right,
on
but
that.
the preservation of open space means actually, deeding that land over to the town or some conservation organization or something like that.
Yeah.
Or fee in lieu of open space.
Yeah, I think, throughout phase one, there's about 7 acres of natural land. And sort of reinforces the annual renewables character during that period. Yeah,
But there again, we're still in the infant stages here.
Yeah.
I don't wanna, I just wanna plant that seed.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah, thank you. So, I, in the interest of time, I just want to say thank you all for just listening. We just wanted the indication that if we went ahead and pursued this from a 10,000-foot view, at least we have the support of the commission. Obviously, no approvals here to say, go ahead and do this, but we just wanted to make sure that we have alignment to go down this path. Please, keep me honest, and it sounds like we do, and so, we'll keep chipping away and keep engaging through John and Wayne.
Biggest thing we've had going on in the last 10 years is our Dollar General.
You're probably not the only one. You're probably not the only town.
I love building.
And I would offer this to the commission, we talked about the 6th corridor and how this fits into that because it has frontage on Route 6.
Right.
Yeah.
And the commission wants to consider adding that little short section of Route 87.
Yeah.
Little words. Because you're gonna have to do a traffic study, and it seems to me, not being a traffic engineer, but having stuff directed to come out on 87 at the traffic light would be.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Would be.
Or a business coming out on Lindholm corner that.
Lindholm's corner.
I do, it's probably that, on that residential road, a business coming out on that.
Right.
It's probably not. I don't think that was ever approved.
That,
No, there's Rosewood Acres.
Yeah, so a road going directly from the retail building to the cul-de-sac road, not Route 6.
Oh, that was,
Yeah.
that wasn't never,
Yeah,
that was never, right. But you can do in your master plan, I mean, you could, widen and repave Lindholm's corners.
And you do have a curb cut on the Route 6 there?
yeah, to lot 1 where.
Yeah, there was, because DOT did say something about a historical marker or something that's down there that they wanted the curb cut moved or something like that in the original Grimaldi proposal.
Yeah.
I got one more question about the previous approval when this was approved for Rosewood Acres. Does anybody know if there's a DWG file, AutoCAD file?
We do not have an electronic.
I don't think the town would have that. We would have to reach out to, whoever Keith Grimaldi had used.
Yeah, we have a scan. Of the
Yeah,
mine.
but
Okay. So we'll
So
take
we,
that.
but it's not AutoCAD, it's just a,
Yeah,
it's just a scan.
we'll take that.
You're welcome to it, it's public record, and just buy it.
No worries. Awesome. Any other questions, any further questions, comments?
No, I'm excited, I mean, this is. Something, I, like I said, I suspect the final. Whatever,
The site plan will be a lot detailed, yes.
might be different than.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different topographies there, there's a lot of wetlands, intermittent streams.
Yep.
That all have to work into this,
Absolutely.
the septics and the wells, you know, you're putting 20 bedrooms on.
Yeah.
One line.
Yep.
That's a lot of septic, there's a lot of well.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then the whole, how's that all gonna be maintained in perpetuity and stuff like that is gonna be a concern.
Cause I know there's a lot of wetlands and. Yeah.
Yeah, but,
Yes.
but you guys can do it.
Yeah, with your support, we are extremely confident that we can execute on this. Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you, John.
Thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
You too.
Up next is Jessica Chapman.
For real this time? Okay, so my concept is much simpler. Yeah. I own the 32 apartments on Kingsley Drive. We have 4 buildings and each building has 8 apartments. Ideally, I would like to add on possibly as many as 32 more apartments. 3 buildings or 4 buildings, whatever that looks like from the site plan. The yellow building and the attachment is a really good idea of the concept, because what we have now is garden style, 1 bedroom, 1 bath apartments. That just is what Andover needs more of. We know this, I've owned this for 24 years. I barely turn 3 apartments a year and often have a waiting list more than 6 months long. Very much the norm there. So the idea is to continue to have 1 bedroom apartments, possibly bigger to kind of help out our couples. The apartments I have now, they're about 650, 660 square feet. We'll be looking more around 800 or so, give or take. So the property that I own in Willington is kind of an ideal blend because it has both garden units and ranch units. So with the ranch units, this would be very ideal for our seniors. I very often get calls for seniors and I only have 1 building that does not have stairs, and that only has 2 first floor apartments. So the chances of them ever getting in are very low. So the idea of the ranch units, this particular building, believe it or not, it has 2 ranch units at the end. But depending what the site plan would allow, we could have either 1 ranch unit at the end or 2. And that would definitely help the affordable housing situation in Andover.
I like your idea for a laundry room too.
Yeah, I mean.
The record, I lived at your apartments, and one thing I did like was that you kept it well maintained,
Thank you.
and your rental agreement was nice and strong, you know, it keeps people in line.
It
Not
does.
trashing the place.
Well, and
that's key, you know.
it is.
Yeah.
And I think if really anyone gave any pushback, let's be honest, how often the policemen ever been,
Yep.
you know, the fire department, we're so set back in the road, we mind our business, we don't cause any trouble. I'm saying we collectively as a community, it's just a really beautiful property and, you know, everyone can benefit. And I'd love to keep some of my couples around longer. And I think that would help a lot too.
Would you be? Well,
I think this
is a time to ask too. Would you be open to an over 55 community?
So I don't know if I could blend that, because the idea is that I own all 24 acres. So it would come down to how we make the existing property conform.
Right.
I would definitely be open to it, point me in that direction, if not there, somewhere else in town. I mean, I have 34 years experience total. 24 years on my own owning. So I've done remodeling, flip houses, I've done some pretty serious renovations as a whole. One step away from knocking buildings down, building them back up, actually one place we did. And I'm just, I mean, it's what I do. We're open to a lot of possibilities.
So you're proposing to add apartments to
Yeah, so
one where the
where
stars
like the
are?
stars, not necessarily one, or not necessarily each star is one building, but possibly here or there. You know, just kind of based
On the
around
existing-
my idea of the
On the
wetlands.
existing lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
And those are the best ways to share the driveway. The map does show that it's connected, but it's really not. This building has its own entrance off of Wales Road.
Yeah.
And then this driveway ends here. So just thinking, you know, the least amount of infrastructure, still offering the most amount of privacy, because I want to stay very true to what Whispering Hills is.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, the idea of the Willington property just really fits, because they're garden style anyway, and they're just neat and tidy buildings.
Okay, so on this. Is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units, or is there?
No, so here, so see the green door here,
Yep,
2 apartments on the first
I
floor,
got it.
2 on the second.
So that's 4, 8, 12, 14.
There's 2, so there's
Okay.
one entrance here.
Yep.
And then, on this side here, there's another entrance on each.
Okay. So it's,
So believe it or not, you know, those are 2 800 square foot apartments. So that might look a little different to Andover, you know, maybe
yeah,
there's like
but
one.
certainly bigger than what you got there now. Yeah.
Bigger or best use of the land to get the idea of the ranches. I really want that for our seniors.
Yeah, we do.
I'm all for this. It's a great idea. Nobody even knows that apartment exists down there.
That's our
Nobody would even
selling
know.
point.
Unfortunately, this may require some zoning, some text amendment. Because the garden, the regulations that allow for these are done in when were these?
67 and 73.
Regulations that allow for these to be built have been repealed.
My thought would be, you know, they would come under that 830G statute.
Yeah.
And nothing says it has to be adversarial, you know, we can work with the town, make it win-win. It would require you to have some deed restricted affordable units, but I think that's the price you're at anyhow, so that's probably no big concern. But that allows you to do outside of what our zoning regulations would currently allow, which, you know, what you just heard, being on Route 6, they got into a special thing that wouldn't be applicable where you are. But that
Unless
doesn't
there's
mean,
retail there.
No, thank you.
No, it's,
but
But we
as long as you can meet the septic and the water and all that,
Right.
you would come in under that 830G thing, I think. John, what are your thoughts?
yeah, so, so we met out on site. I met with the owner, a couple of weeks ago, and, you know, cards on the table, I think it's an outstanding idea, because it's a really, you know, a terrific development that again is basically wholly additive to the town. It really doesn't detract in any way, and because you can't really see it or know anybody's down there. So it's a really nice spot and a nice level of development. But as Wayne said, the regulations that allowed it to be created don't exist anymore. And so it's in that way non-conforming. And she would need a variance to expand in any way, or a text change, or to get to the bottom line, as you said, Jed, to go 830G, which is without question the easiest path forward from a application administration perspective right now. It really is just a matter of, and we talked a little bit when we were out on site about the rents she's receiving right now and what that is relative to affordability levels. And again, back of the envelope, it seems like most of the units that she's renting would qualify as affordable housing if they were just restricted that way. But they're obviously market units, and you're free to increase your rent whenever you want. It's and this would just restrict your ability to do that on 30% of the units. But if the numbers work, I think 830G is a fantastic path forward for a project like this. We would just need to work out those numbers. Otherwise, if that didn't work, then the commission would have to look at adjusting its regulations in terms of multifamily.
But one of the things that, I would prefer to not change the regulations is because I want to bring the deed restricted affordability to Andover. And this gives us the tool to force that, to have this kind of thing, which I think is great. I like everything about it. But the thing that would be disappointing to me about the one we listened to before is we have no means, if you will, to require a certain percentage to be affordable. I don't know if we can make that work or not, but the fact that, an 830G proposal came to Andover, we worked with it, that's a huge win for the town. Just, I guess the other thing that, John, you probably got to feel, I keep hearing all this money being granted to people working on affordable housing things. Is there anything that, Jessica could use to help her out?
Yeah, I mean, there are currently tax credit programs that would, there are 4% tax credits and 9% tax credits through CHFA, which can help. The bigger pot of money that was sort of promised by the governor and the legislature that accompanies this, these affordable housing mandates that the legislature passed in November, that pot of money hasn't been created yet. So it's going to take, I would say, a couple of years before that financing becomes available, and it'll be available on a competitive process. What I can promise you, and again, this is a couple of years down the road, is that I happen to chair the state council on housing development that is going to oversee the expenditure of these grant funds once they become available. And I can promise you that I will advocate for small town projects such as this to be properly, supported. But again, that program has not been created yet. So, there are funding opportunities. The big money hasn't really become available yet. But again, Jessica, your business model is essentially you run these things as affordable housing without the deed restriction. So, the hope is if we can keep construction costs relatively under control, you can keep this rolling. But, that's I don't hold your purse.
Well, I mean, technically all 32 apartments now fall within the affordable housing, and that's due to the square footage. Residents who have just lived there so long, especially local, they're not getting raises as often as, some corporate people. We have a lot of retirees, so we offer that now. So the property can be run like that. Obviously, the infrastructure is my game changer moving ahead. Any grants with that would help me continue to keep everything affordable, but it's easily manageable, especially if we're using the land wisely and we're sharing the wells properly, sharing the septic properly. Just adding on to the existing driveway, not clearing the whole property and, you know, all kinds of driveways everywhere.
But that's one of the funny things about affordable housing
What is it?
is even though it's affordable, it doesn't count.
What do you mean?
Listen, you just you market rate affordable, unrestricted affordable.
Yeah, so even though so I look at Andover, it's it's an affordable town, people, none of it counts.
We'll work on that.
Yeah,
We'll work on that.
and so that's why.
Right, we need it.
This project coming in under those that, can really help the town out, right? They can help you out
Yeah,
too, it's
yeah.
a real
We all love
win-win-win
it.
for everybody.
Everybody seems on the same page.
Yeah.
With what it needs, wants, and how we want to maintain the look and feel. So
Yeah.
I love that about this project too.
Yeah.
Good project. Personally like the back porch idea too.
Say,
That, we'll see about that. Not opposed to it. Again, like if the land allows,
Right.
it's certainly an interesting piece of land. I'm not looking to do a lot of excavating because I love how it is now. So we just really want to utilize it in that way.
Oh, and how about, I know that some of your units have one car garage space.
Mhm.
Are you planning on continuing that or just maybe not with these?
That's going to be a big engineer question.
Okay.
Because, say for instance, near building 41. I could potentially see a driveway being very easy to turn into, to get into garages. But again, that's definitely gonna be an
Okay.
engineer question, but it is on my list of questions.
The grades,
Yeah,
the grades are complicated.
Right.
They don't wanna be cleaning off their cars,
Nope.
we do it for them anyway, but they feel bad asking,
Mhm.
so. If they have their own garages, they'd be happy.
so, and I have the same, I would say the same thing. Because since the sixties, we now have the fire suppression regulations that you're gonna have to consider and,
Yeah, all conversations have been favorable for that.
okay.
The gentleman who takes care of my well system, because I am a public water supply,
Right.
he's been out, we've discussed that.
Well,
We've
I didn't
kind of,
know you can manage that.
yeah,
But the fire suppression, I think, is probably new to your complex.
it would be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you know, like,
You got the
fire
fire
suppression, you don't know any numbers, like how many units it starts to be required in?
I'm not even gonna go there to talk to the fire marshal.
Yeah. But you can get hold of him easily, good guy.
Yeah, his number's on the website somewhere.
Yeah.
I actually have it.
You have it,
It's Andover.
right,
Have it.
right. I'm sure he
No, no.
he's gotta go up there and do inspections and stuff anyway.
Sure,
This would be a great thing for Andover.
I agree.
Keep this, maybe you can use them again.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you one back. I'm gonna keep one here.
I wasn't sure.
So
if
there
we
you
did
go.
have it.
I think you'd be looking for a master plan.
It just ended up in a pile of me.
Jed, I'm looking at Jed, I'm like, is that, we'll be looking for a master plan for this?
I'm gonna keep one.
Oh, yeah, and, and it's gonna have to have a public hearing a little bit and that, but. But the beauty of the 830G is. Unless we can say that, there's something unsafe or, there's a couple other, but you keep seeing in the newspapers, all.
That's why I brought that up.
Pretty things
That's why I brought that up.
Right?
It doesn't have, you have to address,
And then the other entries on Wayne's.
I guess safety is really the big thing.
Yeah. Traffic, traffic fire.
Right, all that.
Traffic.
Something bad about it. They, I don't have to get around the bad one yet, have they? Maybe one Stanford or something and then.
There's a lawsuit, all these towns, through front page of the, Sunday paper as, it's Eastline, this guy, that, being taken to court by the developer because they are moving the, E30G and, essentially town has to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
Understood.
Vesper who lives there, my insurance has certain requirements because we don't have a fire hydrant in town. So, you know, that all goes into it. My agent just so happens to be a fire chief, so I feel like I get excellent advice, excellent advice.
Where are you putting apartments in Wellington?
Depot Road,
Okay.
I'm right
I'm
after
from
behind
Wellington.
the,
I'm originally from Wellington.
Are you?
Yeah.
yeah, I'm across from the condos.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, we are.
Nice, quiet, so pretty there, very quiet, just like Andover. Right, any questions?
Nope.
It was easy.
There'll be lots of questions when the plan comes.
I'll do my best to have them prepared.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right, moving along to correspondence.
In the interest of time, you guys dealt with the correspondence already, the Rosewood Acres. I don't have any other correspondence.
Okay, any commission discussion? Anyone
I
online?
have a question.
Go ahead, Leah.
Back to the vacancy. Wayne, what date did you say you and the town clerk came up with next month?
May 18th.
So it looks like that falls the day before our May meeting.
Yep.
So if we go beyond 60 days, according to the charter, it appears to defer to the Board of Selectmen. I imagine the selectmen would go along if we had a recommended candidate then, but I'm just pointing out that it looks like we'd be one day past the 18th.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not too worried about the Board of Selectmen. I think as long as we're doing something, they're not gonna worry too much about it.
What was that?
About filling the vacancy.
No, we said in our last meeting, you know, I brought it up that you're supposed to do it with Matt.
Yeah, oh, I did it.
Is it all done?
No, it's not done, but we're waiting, the closing the closing for letters of interest is May 18th.
Oh, yeah, for that, but what about the agent? Well, it's agent, I thought.
Oh, the wetlands agent?
Yeah.
Oh,
But we're supposed to act by the 18th.
we're talking two different things.
Now they
here.
are, yeah. They're not too good.
Are you talking about the vacancy on the, Planning and Zoning Commission, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
But hopefully we can address that at the next meeting.
Yeah, as soon as you get it done, bring it to selectmen, you're not gonna worry about it there.
No, we're
We're
not
not
gonna.
gonna go with waiting.
We have two interested parties to date. If anybody else is interested, if just invite them to the meeting on the 19th, then you guys can interview them. Does that sound reasonable?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just pointing out that if you're saying that May 18th is the 60th day after the notice to the town clerk, then if we go to the 61st day, I mean, we would be over that. I imagine, as I, started to say, that the selectmen would go along with whatever we wanted to do, as long as we didn't go into the summer or something, but I'm just pointing out that the time frame from, if the May 18th is 60 days from the date that you agreed on after the notice to the town clerk, that we would just be at the 61st day. It's probably not gonna be an issue, and Scott's telling us that he doesn't think it's gonna be an issue.
I don't think it'd be an issue at all.
Okay.
And as far as the wetlands agent is concerned,
We talked about that at our last meeting
right,
and said that you and Matt can
yeah, we,
collaborate and get the guy.
I'm trying to think if we've been collaborating, I'm trying to think if we got that announcement out yet. I don't think we have. I sent words to Kate. I haven't talked to our new guy yet.
That's Matt.
Matt, yeah. I just introduced myself to him yesterday, so.
Right. So when you get a second, you go up and talk to him. Now you got to go ahead
Okay,
to get that
go
going.
announce it. And get some candidates for the,
Yeah.
right, I talked to Duncan.
Yeah.
Because I think it's, somebody from the Wetlands Commission, somebody from the Board of Selectmen, and some third person to do interviews, right? And Duncan was okay with that. So,
Well, the town manager should be in on the interview.
yeah, okay, then that'll be a third person then, yeah,
That's what we did in the past.
right, yeah. And that's it. There is a discussion group that Joe was part of, and I'm now reading their emails. I can post something to that discussion group, a group of planners and wetlands types and stuff like that. You're probably part of it too, John. I think I've seen the Yukon discussion group.
Oh, the listserv?
The
planners
listserv.
list? Yeah, sure. There's a planners list where these things can be posted. Yeah, and I'd be happy to help you spread the word on that. I will note, and not speaking for her, but Columbia's wetlands officer, Savannah Kitchen, she's the zoning and wetlands officer in Columbia. I think would be interested in helping. She lives in Colchester, lives nearby. She loves wetlands work. So that could be an option on an interim basis, or someone that might be interested in the gig.
I met her at the Casio training.
Mm-hmm.
Was there any discussion about asking Jim Halsey to come back temporarily?
No, as a wetlands agent?
Yeah, he used to be.
Oh, I can do it. Well, no, there hasn't been. I will reach out to Jim.
Yeah, okay.
But then we need approval to pay him from somebody.
Yeah, good. I'm sure.
Well, I mean, presumably there's a wetlands staff line item in the budget.
There is, yeah. But I think
There's
the
money.
board has to do something to plus that whole deal.
And maybe he doesn't want to do it, I don't know.
Yeah. Be great to have Jim back in the office a little bit.
Yeah, I think he's consulting someplace, so he's doing a little something on the side.
Well, we see him occasionally.
Yeah.
He seems to be enjoying himself.
Really?
Yes, yes, he is, yeah.
Okay, next, later.
All right, so that was, was that your administrative report?
Sure, that's my administrative.
Okay.
I mean, I've done
Yeah,
some,
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
I've been out on a few blight complaints recently. And hopefully the worst one on Hutchison Road has been taken care of. I teamed up with the health department on that one.
How about the Mazzola Road one?
I've been out there. I haven't been back to see if he got rid of the junk like he said he was going to.
So I walked up there the other day and he's got one of these big temporary structures in front of his garage. That's what I think he put 2 trailers in. But
Well, he actually had a structure there and it got smushed in the snow.
well, he's got this huge fucking thing made it works. Well, it looks cleaned up a little bit, but he's, still got stuff.
He has,
I don't know, I was just curious as to.
he has had he has, Hellstrom's been out there. It's all marked, the flags and stuff. You know,
Okay.
to do a site plan are out there. I've seen them. I saw those. So. He's moving slowly, and he did file. his
Okay,
special permit.
okay, thank
He
you.
did, I missed it, he filed it back in December,
Okay,
Okay, good.
so,
So on Wales Road, it's the same house?
Wales,
no. Bizzola.
Bazzola, but you said Wales also, right?
no, he didn't.
There's another Blake,
No, Hutchinson,
oh, Hutchison?
Hutchinson. But that one, like I said, that one, the health department, I teamed up with the health department on that one, and, hopefully it's been abated.
Good.
She was moving stuff, cleaning up. I haven't been back to see how much she got done.
So for the inland wetlands report, it's kind of. So we're working on the plan for the bridge culvert on Bizzola Road. And, it dawned on me that I'm not sure that we should be, the inland wetlands, be reviewing and acting on a plan that hasn't been reviewed by a wetlands agent. And so that got me to be looking back at the previous bridge on Long Hill. And I don't ever, so we authorized Joe to act on that plan after it ran, his decision ran in the paper for 2 weeks, then they could go ahead. And I don't ever recall that got put in the paper, but it could have been. But, so hopefully, we're working on bridges and culverts. And, but a wetlands agent would certainly help. Yeah, but I mentioned that, he'll get some help from John.
Yeah.
But that's all I got.
Well, thank you. Hugh, you're next on the agenda here.
Oh, me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Actually a lot of discussions this month have involved a lot of the multifamily stuff. Again, we met with Jessica out on site, and had a lot of phone calls and emails back and forth with Leslie and his crew about the Lindholm Corner property. So excited to try to help these projects move forward. So I understand Matt Streeter. He's the new town administrator. He's on board. Okay. So just following up some of our conversation, Mr. Chair, Patrick, it would be important to sit down with Matt, introduce myself, and kind of talk about moving forward into the future, because a new budget cycle is coming up. My major task with this commission was to assist with grants, and primarily with the POCD, which is now on the books, and so we have to figure out how I can continue to help the town if that's in the cards. So I'll work at getting an appointment with yourself, Patrick, and the new town manager, and see how we can work together moving forward. But I think there's a lot to be done, and I'd like to be part of it.
At the budget hearings, I sold you as you're gonna be working on the affordable housing.
Okay.
Yep.
And economic development.
And economic.
Yes, and we had our economic development meeting last night, and we also would request your assistance going forward.
It looked to me that in the budget was the same amount.
It's still in the budget.
Yeah, still in the budget.
As long as we next year,
You're budgeted, John.
for now,
Okay.
and keep it that way.
Well, a consultant is budgeted. Hopefully, it's still me.
Correct. Yeah.
You are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So far. And I haven't got a response from the new town administrator, but I'll follow up on that too, John.
Okay,
Nice.
great.
Thank you. Anything else, John?
No, nothing for. I mean, I'm tracking the affordable housing legislation and how it rolls out through the region, through the COG. And there's nothing major to report at this point. So we're okay.
Okay, thank you.
But John, ask the lady in Columbia if she can help us with the wetlands in the short term.
Yeah, I think she'd be more than happy to try to help. It's just a question of who specifically to put her in touch with.
Wayne.
Okay. Yeah, I can, Wayne, I'll put you and Savannah on an email chain together.
Yeah, okay.
And if you need anything, just call me, I will see what, questions.
All right, moving on to public speak. Okay, next, unless there's anybody else who has anything to talk about that's not on the agenda. Moving on to approval of minutes. Discussion,
Got a couple of comments on the minutes.
okay,
So under the public present, we should include Thomas Hurst and Elizabeth Paulson, because they were here presenting their plan. And then down on the bottom paragraph that starts out guiding principles. When we're talking about the P O C D, it's the guiding principles include quality of life, housing opportunities. And then the next word is conversation. And I thought it might be conservation. Although the next word is conservation as well. So, but it wasn't conversation, I'm confident in that.
Problem is, get rid of one.
And then on page 3, under the old business, the last sentence under P O C D, item B, it said reviewed Andover Elementary School enrollment date. And I think that should be data. And that was all I had.
Could this be conservation? Quality of life, I have to conservation and see then conservation mapping.
Yeah, it could be.
yeah.
So there should be a comma there, maybe conservation and conservation mapping. Possibly.
There a motion to amend the minutes?
Anybody else have any comments? Make a motion to amend the minutes as discussed. And I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Go ahead, Leanne. Oh, I thought you had something to say, sorry.
She's ready to vote.
She's ready to vote, all right. Let's take a vote of the approval of minutes, go ahead, Leanne.
Me?
Yeah.
Aye.
Jed?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Anne Marie?
I am going to abstain because I was not at the meeting.
Okay, and I vote aye, so the motion passes 4-0-1. Next regularly scheduled meeting, May 19th, and that's gonna be a great meeting. I just tell our. Making a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everybody, for your time.